It's the Tristen Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristen Law, semi-retired pro wrestler, and today, I'm your host. Everybody, listen. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it when I saw it, but finally, TNA has a new home, and this might just be the biggest move that they've made in a decade. Well, maybe since 2010, but neither here nor there. Today, we're going to be breaking down TNA's brand new multi-year deal with AMC Networks. We're going to start over with their limited visibility over on AXS TV to the mainstream spotlight on AMC. That this whole thing here could change everything for the promotion, everything for TNA. Once dubbed the alternative to WWE, we're talking what this means for fans, for the talent, the wrestlers, for WWE's partnership with TNA, and if Thursday Night Impact will deliver or just dilute the momentum. Whether you're watching live or on demand, make sure that you participate in the chat because I love to hear from you. It's fully interactive. Right now, we got a poll going on. And the poll, we just want to know, is TNA on AMC a win or is it a flop? What do you think? Feel free to elaborate further on in the comments. But in case you didn't know, TNA's new home is AMC and AMC Plus beginning January 15th, 2026. They 100% deserve a hand clap for that. It's a 2-hour show debuting every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And the first live show in the, I guess, AMC era is going to be from Dallas. I think that this works for them because it's a dual platform model. Not only are you able to watch on cable if you have cable, but if you cut the cord just like me, you can watch on AMC Plus. You can watch for $6.99 per month, but you got to watch the ads. You can watch for $9.99 per month without ads, and you can even download the episodes on the go. You can spend $95.88 per year without ads, and you can get downloads on the go. You pay that one price, and it works out to be about $7.99 per month. For me, these things are well within my realm of things that I can afford. I'm not spending all the money on WWE, and for all the to watch on ESPN, Netflix, and cable. For those of us out there that feel like TNA costs way too much money, WWE, for those of us that feel like WWE costs way too much money, maybe this is the real alternative. We don't have to break the bank anymore. For $6.99, you can watch TNA on the app if you don't have the streaming, if you don't have cable. For $10 a month, if you're a cord cutter like myself, you can watch it without ads. You can watch shows without ads, but I'm sure they're going to sprinkle some ads in there or whatnot. This is just the information that I remember from looking at the AMC Plus app. I think it's a win for them. This is the first major network deal since they hit their Spike TV deal. And they were on Spike TV for 9 years, 2005 to 2014. And TNA is doubling its potential reach from AXS to AMC. You know, AXS reached about they reached about 30 million homes. But AMC TV, it's going to double it. They're going to reach 60 million homes. 60 million homes that get AMC. If you don't know about AMC, AMC's interest is fan-driven and it's weekly live content. That's what everybody there shows up for. TNA might just become more character-driven as AMC centers their programming around character-driven storytelling such as The Walking Dead and all the other spin-offs that they've created from it. So, the reach is real for AEW, for TNA. I'm sorry. But what does this mean behind the curtain? What does this mean to the wrestlers? Let's talk about how this has the TNA locker room buzzing. This is a chance for TNA to transition from the kiddie pool and back into the big pool. TNA was in the big pool. They were just in a corner at one time. And what they tried to do was force WWE into the corner, to an opposite corner, so they can go into the middle. If TNA wants to survive with this new entire deal that they got with AMC, all they need to do is just swim in their own lane and worry about their own damn selves and not try to put people out of business or encroach on the market share. That is how TNA ended up in the dumpster to begin with. Some people are describing this whole entire thing as a sunshine and rainbows moment. Listen, it's been a story for TNA. For a really long time, if you've been following TNA since the mid-2000s, then you know where they were and where they are now. You know, some people are hoping for better production. The better production might just be up there. You know, stronger storytelling and more live shows. In case you don't know. In case you don't know. Live TV is everything. Especially in pro wrestling. Live TV is everything. Especially in pro wrestling. You got Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy saying that TNA and AMC equals a let's FG. Let's F and go. Look, being 100% honest with you, being 100% honest, if it wasn't for Matt Hardy, maybe TNA would have died. Maybe TNA would have never survived. That's a thought. And the only reason I say that is because the only reason people started watching was because Matt Hardy doing all the things he was doing with the Broken Universe. Kazarian. He's the current TNA champion. He said he's proud to lead TNA into a new era. Rosemary, right? She said that AMC's used to undead. How exciting. Now TNA gets to bring their own undead character to the channel, and that's the perfect place because they feature undead programming like The Walking Dead. The wrestlers, they're fired up. And for me, sitting here putting everything together, I started getting fired up because I'm like, yo, this is really big. And I like when I come on here and I have these conversations with you guys because I hope that you get as excited about it as well as I am. You see, because if you love pro wrestling, you don't want, honestly, look, if you love pro wrestling, you really don't want AEW to go anywhere. If you love pro wrestling, you really don't want TNA to go anywhere. You definitely don't want WWE to go anywhere. Because if they go somewhere, then what? Remember what it was like when there was only one sheriff in town? Now you got two sheriffs in town with TNA making their comeback. But there's another layer to this whole entire thing that just makes the story even juicier. And that's WWE. Their fingerprints are all over this. WWE and TNA, in case you didn't know, in case you've been living underneath a rock, WWE and TNA, they entered into a working relationship in 2024. And it's mostly been with NXT. You know, every now and then you might get a Joe Hendry to go on over and, you know, stuff like that to the main roster. You know, you might see somebody on the main roster. We saw, you know, people in the Royal Rumble and stuff like that, but it's been mostly NXT. NXT stars appear on TNA and vice versa. I think that this partnership has been great. I think it's been great. And the person who I put accountable for this is Carlos Silva. He confirms that this whole entire deal, that's him right here. He confirms that this whole entire deal, the deal with the WWE, it continues into the AMC era. So any of us that are WWE fans primarily and wondering what will happen next, we don't have to worry anymore. The answer's already been taken care of for us. In my opinion, TNA working with AEW has been extremely beneficial for TNA. Beneficial for WWE as well, too, Because when you're doing business, you have to make sure it's beneficial for everybody. And when TNA was working with AEW, I think the only company that benefited was AEW. AEW was a company at the time who didn't even know who their identity was. AEW didn't know what they were. Oh yeah, we're the alternative to WWE, but then you kind of tiptoed into becoming WCW light. You kind of tiptoed into making the mistakes that TNA made, that WCW made, and then they backed it off real quick and found their identity. Some people feel that WWE fans don't watch AEW and AEW fans don't watch WWE. It's true. I feel it's true because they both cater to a different side of the market. There are some people who just want great wrestling matches. And for years, when there was no real competition against the WWE, where do those wrestlers go? I mean, where do those wrestling fans go? They went to New Japan Pro Wrestling. They went to Lucha Libre. That is where they went. And now, you get most of those wrestlers from New Japan Wrestling in AEW. But WWE, they're primarily focusing on the storytelling. They want to give you a great story. Oh yeah, we're going to give you a great wrestling match, but we're going to give you a great story. And it's the story. Stories invoke emotion. Emotion makes us spend our money or not spend our money. You will spend money someplace because you feel a certain way. You ever seen a kid, collecting on the side of the road for like Boy Scouts or whatever benevolent organization they're with? You go, oh, it's for the kids. It hits you somewhere. It makes you take out your wallet and give that kid money. Wrestling is the same exact way, and that's what WWE does. They feel that they can attach emotionally to the storytelling, but AEW, they attach emotionally to the wrestling matches. That's why it's okay for them to do 9,000 super kicks in one match. But in WWE, you get 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 10. With WWE partnering with with WWE partnering with TNA, the way that it's beneficial is that TNA gets the rub off of WWE. Oh, y'all working with them? Okay, well, let's go ahead and see what y'all doing. Okay? It also works as well, too, because some people say, well, how does it benefit the WWE? They get first dibs because they get to see who is who. They get to put them on their television and see how they perform. I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 of them even ended up at the Performance Center just to train. Joe Hendry's not a TNA employee anymore. He works for the WWE. And I think that would Joe Hendry have been somebody that would had eventually ended up in the WWE? Yeah. Joe Hendry would have definitely ended up in the WWE. That's not even a discussion. But by Joe Hendry being in NXT and having being in TNA and TNA having that partnership with the WWE, it gave us people that live in the WWE universe, in the WWE bubble, the opportunity to look outside and see what else is out there. It's been beneficial to TNA, and it's been beneficial to TNA and WWE. I even heard, rumor and innuendo, not sure, but the rumor swirling around the internet is that the WWE reportedly helped TNA secure the deal with AMC. But why? Why, Sway? How? Why? Why would the WWE even be interested in helping TNA survive? Didn't TNA try to put them out of business like almost 20 years ago? Damn, it's been that long? 15 years ago? It's because TNA is seen by WWE as a partner and not as competition. Because WWE understands that TNA can't compete with the WWE for one reason and one reason only. What is the reason do you feel, I'm asking you, whether you're watching live or on demand, what is the reason that you think that WWE does not see TNA as competition. They're in their same wrestling business, right? Wrestling is wrestling. So why are they not competition? Why is WWE not afraid of them? Simple. One answer and one answer only. And I want to see what you guys put to see if you guys agree with me. It's money. TNA does not have the money that WWE has. Granted that TNA is backed by a media company the same way that WWE is backed by a sports and media company. But TNA don't got WWE money. The only thing that comes close is AEW. AEW might have a lot of money, but they still don't have WWE money. But if somebody if WWE put their foot on the throat of AEW, AEW would definitely go find that money and go do something with it. So instead of pretending that TNA doesn't exist, what WWE did was say, you know what, I'm going to help you up. And that's pretty much the same exact thing that I do here, right? I look at people's channels like Stu, you know, I look at his Stu's view, not sure if he's here yet. Nope, he is in the chat. Welcome, Stu. I look at, I think his name is Robbie. He has another channel that I looked at, you know, that I see what he's doing and I like what he does, right? I don't see anybody as competition, right? We're all partners here, right? Anybody that creates content, what I'm telling you is this. If you create content on YouTube, I want to partner with you. I want you to eventually come onto this channel with your original content, and I'm going to put the polish on it and make you look like you're a world-class pro wrestling thing. I'm serious. The next step of that starts Friday. Friday, main event Conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz is coming to this channel live at noon. I will not be on camera. Will I be here? I'll be here producing the show in the background, but the bulk of everything, the star of that show is going to be the guests and Cheyenne Ortiz. I don't compete. We're not competing with each other. I'm trying to make sure that we can all eat. And what WWE is doing is saying, you know what, TNA, here's a piece of bread. Here's a piece of bread. Here's a bag of flour. Let's see what you can bake with it. I think that TNA has been more interesting now than it has been in the past 10 years. It makes me want to go, what is TNA doing? Let's go to the chat. Stu says that traveling, so can't comment at so much, but yeah, I'm going to agree. AMC is a great home for TNA. They don't see TNA's competition because they've been putting it against NXT. And he agrees as well, too, that money is the reason why they don't see TNA as competition. And you see, for me, these are the things that humble me so much because Stu says that he's traveling. And I hope you have a safe travel, my brother. And you're still taking the time to watch this. These are the things that make me go, damn, I'm really doing something special here. And I appreciate all of you that take the time out of your busy day, your lunch day, to come watch me and hang out with me. That's why I try to keep it about an hour long. Main event Conversation with Cheyenne Ortiz will be about a half an hour. So you'll get a half an hour to go ahead and watch, and then you can get back to lunch. That's right. That's why I see it going on here. But thank you so much, Stu. They got rumors running around that this whole entire deal with TNA going to AEW and WWE helping them. The rumor and innuendo is that it's a way to counterbalance AEW. Imagine a world where there is only McDonald's and Burger King, and there's no Wendy's. Where would you go get a Frosty? Imagine if Wendy's went out of business today. Imagine if every fast food burger joint went out of business and all you had was McDonald's and Burger King. Imagine if it was John's Burger. It was McDonald's and John's Burger. Those are the only two companies. McDonald's don't got to worry about them. But WWE knows that in order for it to survive and not have to worry about AEW ever coming for their neck, make sure that AEW survives. Make sure that TNA survives. Because when WWE is planning their stories and AEW starts getting a little rambunctious, WWE has a whole entire roster that they can tap into, and they don't have to pay them, they don't have to sign them underneath a contract. So the partnership between WWE and TNA allows WWE to have access to talent that they don't have to keep on the contract. It keeps their overhead low. It's kind of like almost like soccer teams, to where they borrow and they trade people to go out and go perform elsewhere. That's what I kind of see it as. Same exact thing with TNA. I see that January 15th episode of TNA on Impact for the first time ever, I think it's going to be stacked. It's going to be real stacked. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw people from the main roster there. Imagine seeing somebody like AJ Styles there. Look, TNA was built off the back of AJ Styles. I don't care what anybody says. There are so many people in TNA that went over to WWE. People that are in WWE that went over to TNA. I wouldn't be surprised. Imagine if you see Randy Orton on TNA, on AMC. You're going to watch, right? I know I would.
Thank you.
There's no reason for me not to watch. This whole entire thing counterbalances, because now it puts TNA up for the discussion. Stu is checking in, and Stu is leaving his view. He says that AJ might actually kick off the show. That would be great. That would be great. Even though I think it'd be much better for them to put the stamp, for TNA to put the stamp on themselves. I think it'd be much better if one of their top stars was on the television and then have AJ Styles come out. The first thing that I want to see January 15th, 2026 on AMC Plus is TNA putting their flag in the sand, in the dirt. And then if they want WWE's help, WWE should come after, later on in the show, to come make that show something that you must want to watch. But we're talking about how the WWE partnership was a factor in the whole entire TNA going to AMC Plus. Let's transition. Let's pull back a little bit. And let's put this into historical context. Because where does this rank among TNA's past network deals? Oh, Lord. Well, they were on Spike TV at one time. Spike TV was the home for TNA Impact. When I was running around at the Impact Zone in 2006, 2005, 2006, running around the Impact Zone, that's where it was. I used to come home. I used to record on Mondays, and then I would watch on Thursdays just to see how it looked. They were getting on Spike TV, their peak was about 1.25 million viewers. Plus. And then in January 4th, 2010, that's when I felt like their real decline happened. You know what happened? January 4th, 2010? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you. Hogan is what happened. January 4th, 2010 was their decline, TNA's decline, when Hogan and Bischoff joined TNA, and they decided that they wanted to try to compete with the WWE. You know what happened that same night? What happened that same night was TNA wanted to go head-to-head, and Vince McMahon played the Bret Hart card, where he and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, the three of them all reconciled. Both companies, what they tried to do, what TNA did, was they found this old car. They found this old car from 1999. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to fire it up just to see if it worked. And WWE said, well, we had our own car sitting in the back. Why don't we Roll that car out and let's see how it starts. Let's see how it runs. Because if they're going to do it, we might as well do it too. And you know what happened on January 4th, 2010? WWE showed their car was in much better shape. TNA wasn't ready. The worst thing that TNA ever did, the worst thing that they ever did was get rid of the six-sided ring and have Hogan and Bischoff run the show and compete against Mondays. Can compete against Raw on Mondays. Why would you want to go compete with Vince McMahon? TNA in 2010. You don't have the money. You think because you're going to put Hulk Hogan on the TV that he was still a draw? Yes. I think in 2010, Hulk Hogan was still a draw. Hulk Hogan still made you want to watch. But honestly, who would you rather watch more? June 4th, 2010, whether you lived it or not, you know about the Montreal screw job that happened at Survivor Series 97, where Brett screwed Brett and left and went to WCW, and then his career went bye-bye? He had animosity for both Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. It's been documented. It's been documented. I felt that one of the things that Eric Bischoff always said, and he even wrote a book on it, Eric Bischoff said that controversy creates cash. And that night, the controversy was not on Spike TV. It was on, where was WWE at the time? USA Network? It was on the USA Network, and it featured the WWE Monday Night Raw with Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Vince McMahon. TNA, what kind of crack were you smoking? You were better off running on Tuesday nights. At that time in the world, in case you don't know, in case you stumble upon this video 10 years from now, there was a time in the in pro wrestling that wrestling came on every day of the week. You could watch Nitro on Raw on Monday. On Tuesday, there was really nothing, but you could find WCW. You could find Thunder was on Tuesdays, but then they moved it to Wednesday. Then it was Thursday. SmackDown was on Thursdays. Then you'd have all the WCW and the WWF syndicated programming, Sunday Night Heat, all that. And then one day, it all just went away. The only sheriff in town was the WWE. So when TNA came around, TNA could have pretty much put their flag wherever they wanted. But they chose to sit at the same exact table that WWE was at, but try to tell them you can't sit here. And look what happened to them. They eventually had to go, and they eventually went to Destination America and Pop TV. That was a sharp decline, a very sharp decline for people that were watching Impact. They eventually changed the name. It wasn't even TNA anymore. It was Impact Wrestling because they merged with another company that Jeff Jarrett was running, Global Championship Wrestling, all that bullcrap. But granted, at that time, nobody was really watching TNA. I think the damage was already done from January 4th, 2010. This was TNA pretty much getting ready to get in their deathbed. They were getting their deathbed comfortable. Stu says that you can watch TNA. They have a 24/7 channel showing classic and new TNA stuff, and it's on Pluto TV. Yeah, I've seen it. And if you look from like 2004-ish to like 2007, if you look good, you can probably find me in the audience because I went to a lot of them when I lived in Orlando. So my whole thing is Stu feels like a guy to me, like a brother to me, that loves wrestling. He just watches anything. And I go, and sometimes I go, you know what, let me put on Pluto just to see what TNA got on their 24/7 channel. That's one of the things that I think that kept TNA relevant, aside from doing international. Because remember, internationally, a lot of people wasn't getting no love. They weren't getting no love internationally when it comes to wrestling. Now in this day and age, I feel like even WWE feels like they've cornered the market so much in WWE, let's go international. That's why they end up in Saudi Arabia. And granted, the The fans are a little bit better there as well, too. Stu also says he definitely misses the six-sided ring. And yeah, you can't run a show on Monday. That belongs to Raw and football. Exactly. Exactly. I didn't even think about football because y'all know I don't watch fake sports. I only watch wrestling. I totally forgot. Yeah. Why would you even want to compete with Monday Night Football? So now you're trying to fight the market that is saying, oh, there's a good NFL game tonight, so let's go ahead and watch football on ABC. But those people, like, to me, it's just crazy. Who was in charge of TNA at the time? Dixie Carter. Eric Bischoff, at the time, he fashioned himself as a television executive. Why would he think that's a good idea? Did he really think that Hogan's really that big of a draw? Hogan was don't get it wrong, Hogan was a big draw, right? I think the last big Hogan thing that he did was him versus Rock at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, where that match should have been the main event. But they really thought that Hogan was still that much of a draw. Sometimes it's like, when you smell yourself, you don't realize that you stink. And at the time, Hogan stunk, right? He didn't smell good. He didn't smell 1996 good to where he went away for a little bit and he could come back in and do his thing. Hogan at that time was, and I mean this respectfully, Hogan was only a shell of himself. Hogan wasn't the same person. He wasn't 1996 Hogan. He definitely wasn't Rock Hogan. Wasn't. TNA even went to Twitch. They were scrambling for you to watch their television. And who is that standing right in front of Moose to the right side? The right side of Alberto Del Rio. Who is that? You know who that is? I'll give you a hint.
Yeah!
That's Eli Drake. That's not LA Knight. Two different people. No, that is LA Knight. That's who LA Knight was before he got to the WWE. And that's how I first started learning about who the hell Eli Drake was. Because at the time, and I don't think it exists anymore. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. At the time, Twitch had a really big pro wrestling community. If you wanted to watch pro wrestling, you would go to Twitch. Tommy Dreamer had House of Hardcore there, and there was a bunch of other pro wrestling companies that were just running on Twitch. Twitch was still a little bit brand new. But, Twitch is kind of weird. It's not like YouTube to where how you guys just like magically found me because YouTube says, hey, you know what? You guys might actually like this. I don't think Twitch works in that same exact way. I don't know. But when I used to watch Melissa Santos, she used to host it on Twitch. And it felt like we were watching her live streaming Impact Wrestling. But maybe she was. I don't know. So then TNA eventually went to AXS TV, owned by TNA's parent company. TNA is owned by a media company, but the television had limited reach. And I've been saying this for years. The issue with TNA was that they don't have TV. They don't have good enough TV. Even Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor could survive because they had YouTube. Ring of Honor had that same exact issue as well, too, to where they didn't have TV. Oh, go ahead and buy the Honor Club. But Ring of Honor today doesn't have TV, but they have YouTube. The #1 streaming app on the planet. It's not Netflix and chill. It's YouTube and chill. But with TNA going to AXS TV, I felt that, and at the time they were known as Impact Wrestling. I felt that when TNA went to AXS TV, that TNA was pretty much on low power with 8% battery left. But Matt Hardy and the Broken Universe, they made people start caring again. If it wasn't for Matt Hardy and the Broken Universe, nobody really cared what would be happening in TNA. But now, January 15th, 16th, whatever day it is, 2026, TNA and AMC, they're in bed together. They finally got a major cable streaming network where they can sit in front of 60 million people. TNA knows exactly what it's like to be homeless and out on their asses. And I promise you that if TNA is smart, they will have learned their lessons and they will never go back there again. I think one of the things that TNA started doing to revive themselves was they changed their name from Impact Wrestling to TNA, because they've built up so much equity in that TNA name. So much equity. It was NWA TNA, then it was TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, then it was Impact Wrestling, and now it's back to TNA. That's where it belongs. That's where it belongs. So the platform is bigger. The excitement is definitely here because I feel it. I feel excited just talking to you guys about it. And the question that I'm asking myself, even though I'm excited, and I got a poll going on right now. Let me go ahead and read the poll for you. The poll is asking, is TNA on AMC a flop or is it a win? 75% of the audience says yes, it is, while another 25% say, you know what, it might be a little bit too early to tell. Can the product keep up? TNA will debut live on AMC. It will be a mix of live and taped shows going forward, so it might be economically beneficial for them to do 2 shows in one night. You record one, you do one live, and then what you do is you record one. So you do 2 shows, so the people that buy the tickets will get 2 shows. And then maybe 2 weeks later, they shoot one live and then they record one. That's how they used to do it back in the day. In pro wrestling, live shows is everything. It feels more when pro wrestling is live, it feels more like a sporting event than a TV show. That's just how it feels to me. I think the talent believes that there are more live show requirements in the contract. I don't know. It's only from what I could find online. Fans, like myself, I expect an upgraded production and visuals. But here's my issue. The last time that I felt that a show going on a new network, a new streaming platform would have upgraded production and visuals and stuff like that, we got WWE on Raw. Did we get an upgrade? Yeah. But we thought that we were going to go commercial free and all this other stuff. Did we get any of that? We ain't getting none of that. So I'm hoping that somebody from WWE is in the era of TNA and says, upgrade your production and upgrade your visuals. We got the potential now with AMC being the home of TNA for more ambitious storytelling. AMC could promote TNA across their whole portfolio. Imagine your favorite TNA characters on The Walking Dead. Look, that might be a little weird for some of you, but WWE did it back in the day. They used to have their wrestlers on La Femme Nikita used to come on right after Raw. If you don't know what La Femme Nikita is, you're probably a little bit too young for this conversation. But with a new home and new momentum and a little help from the biggest company in the game, you have to admit that it's the WWE. Don't lie to yourself. You have to admit that it's the WWE. The future looks promising for TNA. And the work for them, it starts right now. It starts right now. What does TNA have to do? TNA has to make sure that they have the best wrestlers working for them. TNA has to make sure that they're putting forth their best effort with the best storylines that pro wrestling has to offer. TNA has to make sure that they stay in their lane and they don't try to push AEW out because they don't have the money. Because if AEW want to run on Thursday nights, they perfectly can because they've got the money. Stay in your lane, TNA, when you go to AMC Network. You got a new logo. You got a new lease on life. the death sentence for TNA, it's not permanent. They've showed that it's not permanent. They showed that with a little bit of hard work, you can definitely get from down there all the way back up there. You keep that in mind for yourself. That's my, feel-good moment, for you. That's my feel-good moment. Just want to let you guys know, once again, just reminding you that Friday, I will not be here on the camera. I will still be happy. I'll be changing hats, and I'll be wearing my producer's hat, and I'll be producing main event conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz right here on the Tristen Law Show. This is where this show lives. The show will live here. Beautiful Buddy Thomas will be the first guest on main event conversation with Cheyenne Ortiz. Cheyenne, for those of you guys who don't know, is a broadcast professional like myself. And good friend of mine. And when I decided to partner with him to bring you guys main event conversations, which I came up with the name and logo, everything, I felt that it'd be a lot easier if I played to my strengths and Cheyenne plays to his strengths. Don't get it wrong. The Tristen Law Show started as an interview-style podcast. Now it's a channel that does pro wrestling analyses and that will still feature interviews, but I just won't be doing them anymore. There'll be just more content for you to watch. If you like it, let me know. If you want to see somebody in particular interviewed on that show, TristenLawShowMedia@gmail.com. Just let me know, and I'll interview whoever you want. But I'll say this about the whole TNA thing. TNA on AMC is more than a TV deal. It's a sign that TNA is ready to be a part of the national conversation again. The buzz, it's real. The talent, they're fired up. And with WWE still in the mix, this AMC run could be the most unpredictable chapter in TNA's story yet. Now, it's on them to deliver the kind of content that lives up to the moment. Here's the question that I'm asking you. Will you be watching January 15th, 2026? Well, will AMC save TNA or will it expose them? Only time will tell. The next episode with me and Jess will be live Monday at noon, but main event conversation with Cheyenne Ortiz will be live here tomorrow at noon, and the first guest is beautiful Buddy Thomas. Call me, 973-826-0101. Email me, TristenLawShowMedia@gmail.com. I'm Tristen Law, this is the Tristen Law Show, and I'll see you next time!
Flashing red lights, driving at night.